Matt Le Tissier was a one-club man. He was celebrated for it, criticised for it. He has no major medals to show for his 16 seasons there, but his achievements are many. Matt Le Tissier is a legend of the Barclays Premier League.
If Southampton were on the TV, a lot of people would tune in to watch it if you wanted Southampton as a neutral to watch what Matt Le Tissier was going to do in the game.
Now Le Tissier. It's Matt Le Tissier. It's a thrilling finish from him. Made it look a piece of cake, which it certainly wasn't.
Tissier hated him, yeah, totally hated him. Every time, every time he played against us, he scored. And it wasn't just a tap-in, he scored. If he had his all-time 10 wonder goals, I'm sure Newcastle would be in there 5 times.
I played with Tissier from a young, early age, when I first made me sort of pro career, and he is one of the most gifted players, natural ability I've ever played with, and I've played with some great players over the years, but Le Tissier was just, he had no pace, but he just used to make people look stupid.
On for Le Tissier, with 4 for him, great chance, splendid finish by Matt Le Tissier.
He was so clever at inviting the defender in and then just nicking the ball past him, or a little sleight of foot.
Tripoli goes for the cross. Oh, Schmeichel's lost it, Matt Le Tissier!
First year at Anfield, he scored an absolute screamer. I think we beat him. But he was one of those, Le Tissier was one of them players that, he could be quiet, he could be having an absolute nightmare, and all of a sudden, smash, he'll score 2 goals in 2 minutes.
He was fantastic. He didn't like running, but ability-wise, he could put the ball on an absolute sixpence for you.
Remember Alex Ferguson saying about Le Tissier that he would never pick him in his team, that he doesn't want him to see him in the team that he's playing against. So I don't know if it's a compliment to never go, but it was, if Alex Ferguson says that, it's a great compliment, because he was a great player.
Has won it here, Le Tissier!
Here's Le Tissier! Oh, well, Robin absolutely shouts it.
Southampton through and through. He was never going to move. He could have always played for a bigger club for me. He was all fighting, but he just loved Southampton.
He could have definitely gone and played somewhere else, at a higher club. There's no doubt about that. And probably looking back, maybe he wishes that he did.
That was always a question mark, probably, with Matt. Why didn't he move? And why didn't he sample the heights of, I could win a Premier League, I could win a cup?
I know he was a big Tottenham fan. When I left Southampton and signed for Tottenham, and I know that Venables wanted to sign him at Tottenham even at the time, but Le Tissier, being Le Tissier, wanted to stay at Southampton. It was a way of life for him, and he didn't want to change it.
My ties with Southampton were very strong. I was obviously very appreciative of them giving me a chance in professional football. As you say, not too many of us from Guernsey have had that opportunity. So I felt a lot of loyalty there. The fans were always brilliant to me. As soon as I first started, I spent a lot of time as a substitute in my first few years at the Dell. And whenever I was on the bench, they were forever calling for me, calling my name out, and be a massive cheer go around the Dell when I went out to warm up. So I did feel a great sense of loyalty towards them.
When you get the phase in football of there's nobody bigger than a football club. He's the nearest you'll get.
I knew at Southampton, the fans were always on my side, and I could kind of play football the way that I wanted to play football, and that was important to me.
Tiz was a big fish in a small pond, but he's not one of them flush people. I don't think he'd like to, walk in the streets, everyone shouting his name. He was very shy lad. He was just a, footballer. He never used to go out drinking with us. If we go down the pub, he went to McDonald's.
People often say, why do you think it affected your England career? It probably did, but I have to say I had a wonderful time down here and still have a lovely life down here now. And so even now I'd say still no regrets, and say la vie.
Le Tissier scored a lot of goals, 101 in the Premier League alone. A lot of them were great goals.
I kind of had my head down while I was dribbling, and I didn't really know where Peter Schmeichel was when I got to the edge of the box. and I decided to chip it. It was only because the week before Manchester United had played Newcastle away and had been beaten 5-0. And one of their goals was scored by Philippe Albert, who had chipped Peter Schmeichel from outside the box. And Schmeichel was way off his line. And I kind of remembered it. And as I got to the edge of the box, I thought, he's normally off his line, so I chipped it, not knowing exactly where he was. I mean, if he'd been stood on his line, I would have looked a bit stupid. I remember getting the ball from Jeff Kenner. He'd made an attack down the right, and he just cut the ball back about 25 yards out, and I kind of flicked the ball up. I like to volley the ball, so I flicked the ball up for myself, took another. Ball got squared to me some 30 yards out, and I took a touch and put my head down, and I've struck the ball really well, and I struck it straight at the middle of the goal, knowing that it was going to bend, and the ball started off straight at Steve Ogrizovic, and kind of in the air it just started swinging and swinging, and I don't think Steve was expecting it to do that, because he kind of was rooted to the spot and the ball flew in his...
Not all his goals were from outside the box. Arguably the Premier League's finest penalty taker, he scored 47 and missed 1.
He's only ever missed 1 penalty in a Southampton shirt, but he hasn't missed this one.
People forget his penalty record was unbelievable. He had this art of waiting for a goal to go and then whipping it in the other corner, and I think he missed 1 penalty in his career, I think, out of 49, I think.
I remember missing 2 penalties in a week, so they decided to change the penalty taker, and I think he went 50-odd without missing. So it's down to me that the Tissier is a hero.
I thought it was 49, but when I did my autobiography last year, the guy who was doing the research for me over the stats could only find 48. So it's 47 out of 48. I had a technique which was, I was lucky, I was able to side foot a football almost as powerfully as I could hit it with my instep, so I could be accurate and still have quite a bit of power in it. So because of those reasons, I always went for one corner or another, and I never resorted to just smashing it down the middle.
Just confident with penalties. He just knew he was going to score.
I think the biggest secret to the penalty taking is that I actually wanted to be there. I looked forward to taking penalties. I enjoyed the situation, just me against the goalkeeper and a whole stadium watching me.
Tissier against Keller, and 2-1 the scoreline.
Yeah, just the 1 miss, and Mark's still talking about it to this day.
Because he had such a prolific penalty scoring record, that you know, I'm honoured to have been the one that actually kept the one out from him. I always decided early which way I was going to go for a penalty. I never waited and then went. I just used to guess.
My normal way was to go to the keeper's left, and if he moved a little bit early, I'd kind of change my mind at the last minute, and he kind of double bluffed me and saved it.
So I tried to fake to go to the left and dove to my right, and luckily he put it to my right, and it was a really good height for me to save.
I think that the worst bit about it all was not the fact that I'd missed the penalty, but the fact that the ball actually came straight back to me, and from about 8 yards out with my left foot I managed to somehow scoop it over the crossbar and miss an open goal as well as missing the penalty. So that was kind of the embarrassing bit for me.
When I do come across him, his reply to me is that he was on 99 goals for Southampton at the time, and he didn't want his 100th goal to be a penalty.
I didn't mind that it was him that saved one of my penalties. You know, if it had been somebody else who I didn't like, it would have been annoying. Someone like Tim Flowers, that would have really upset me. Pre-season was such a struggle for me, mentally more than anything. I think I just didn't quite have the right mental attitude towards running.
What he could do with a football player, you just dreamed of, and he was a joy for young kids to watch. But for a professional, you just thought, oh my God.
Work rate weren't the best, but, you know, they didn't let him get away with it because their players around him to do his work, because he was such a talent going forward that they just said, look, you just concentrate on going forward.
I wasn't the most naturally fit footballer in the world.
I think he did have his problems, didn't he, with issues of fitness and weight. I've been there myself, it's difficult.
He was a bit lazy, he couldn't tackle, he wouldn't chase back. But when you've got the ability that he had, and, you know, 9 times out of 10 he'd get us out of the mire.
For some unknown reason, the minute that the balls were taken away and we then just had to run without any reference to a football, I seemed to lose interest quite quickly.
If Tissier beat you in a long-distance run, you was in trouble. The manager would absolutely cane you because he knows you're not trying hard enough. If Fat Mac can beat you, you're not trying, son.
I remember a goal we scored against Blackburn against Tim Flowers when he twisted and turned twice and 35 yards, he curled it over his head.
Put a lot of bent it away. And as a left foot, you think, wow, that's travelling as well. The pace he got from it. And it went right in the top corner. And you think, wow.
Jay can score goals like that.
Tim Flowers used to put his Union Jack towel at the side and in the net. And Matt Tissier told him before the game, I'm going to hit that towel with the ball. Well, I don't know how long and the timing of the game, but he hit the towel with the ball. Tim Flowers couldn't believe it. He shrunk from 6'2" to about 2'2" because he knew that all he was going to get off Matt Tissier going back down the motorway was phone calls, answer machines, a whole lot left Matt Tissier telling him how much he hit the towel with the ball.
Favourite goal of my career, it's what I consider to be the best goal I ever scored. I remember it very well. It was against a very good friend of mine in the Blackburn goal, Timmy Flowers, who when he sees this will probably send me another text abusing me because I keep talking about it.
It was just an incredible finish, and you know, sickening because you're on the opposition side, but you know, a hell of a lot of admiration, and sometimes you have to take your hat off to people and say, well, that's just too good.
It was a shot that I'd actually been practicing in training quite a bit, and it worked out perfectly, and the ball dipped into Tim's top right-hand corner just underneath the crossbar, and it was great because he really tried for it, and to see him get nowhere near it was lovely and end up tangled in the side net, and he was. Bless him.
Have a listen to this. Le God is coming off Matthew Le Tissier.
I acquired the nickname Le God at the Dell, which was slightly strange experience. I think that the fans kind of cottoned onto that, and whenever I was going over to take a corner, they were kind of bowing their heads in admiration, and it was all a bit odd, and I took it in good spirit, but I actually received a few letters at the Dell, sent to the stadium, actually asking me, from religious people, asking me to kind of come out publicly and state that I wasn't God, and that and I shouldn't be accepting that status as a nickname.
Born in Guernsey in the Channel Islands, he could have played for a number of different countries. Some say he chose the wrong one.
Michel Platini didn't get on the phone to me, but Gerard Houllier, who was his assistant at the time, did make a couple of phone calls to my father. I actually didn't qualify to play for France either. I didn't have relatives. You know, all my family had been Channel Island for many, many generations back, and so France wasn't an option. I think Northern Ireland and Wales could have been options, but as I said, it was England or nothing for me.
We've produced so many, and you look at some great players in our eyes of football, who you think, what a great player he was. 5 caps, 6 caps, 2 caps. And if they'd played abroad, they would have got 100.
I can only assume that the theory was that you had to change a system to accommodate what he didn't do, which is quite sad, really, when you think that all of the great players, you know, Argentina don't worry too much about what Messi doesn't do. They just give him the ball.
I don't know, if it had been Kevin Keegan in charge, you'd probably said, I'm putting him in the team. But if it was another manager who thinks, I like this type of system, don't want these type of players, unfortunately, you pay the consequences.
Matt Tissier should have played more times for England, but again, we're at a time where there are a lot of good forward players in your Fowlers, Coles, Sheringham, Ian Wright, Ferdinand, Shearer.
I remember he played for England B was at Loftus Road and scored a hat-trick in an England shirt. And everybody thought he'd be in the England squad.
Growing up, all I ever wanted to do as a boy, I had two ambitions in my life. One was to be a professional footballer and one was to play for England. And I kind of managed both those. I think I made my England debut when I was 25. And so, you know, for a little boy from Guernsey, I was quite happy with that. It would have been lovely to have had more caps, but, you know, some things are beyond your control.
But he's probably thought with my ability and the goals I'm scoring, I will get my opportunity for an England shirt on a regular basis, which he didn't, which is a shame, because, you know, he's a type of player who are hard to find, especially to represent England.
Derry waiting for a ricochet. Tissier, it is. Brilliant! Tissier's done it. And the Southampton fans rejoice.
He didn't win any league titles or cups, but his achievements are measured by his contribution in keeping Southampton in the Premier League from its inception to his retirement in 2002.
Oh, there's an option here for Southampton, who are back in the lead. It's Matt Tissier again.
The relegation fights were something that, bizarrely enough, I actually quite enjoyed. There were a lot of players who don't probably enjoy playing under that kind of pressure, but as I said earlier, that kind of scenario appealed to me, and I enjoyed having a chance to become the hero.
Phillips, but he's put it on the plate. Matt Tissier accepts the press.
There's no doubt that they would have been relegated in a number of seasons but for Tissier's goals.
Had some good players at the time, Southampton, but no, I think everybody would look back and say it would be down to him why they stayed in the Premiership for so long.
More often than not in those fights, some of my best performances were in games where we literally had to win.
Tissier. Expectancy! Tissier is opening up for him again! And Tissier now to deliver this free kick to Cashel.
And so it was, yeah, the Southampton fans were quite grateful.
The Dell celebrates. Southampton is safe again. Le Tissier, one of the architects of another last day escape.
3 seasons after he retired, Southampton were relegated. They haven't been back in the top flight since.
What an answer from one of the great mystery talents in the English game.
Looking back, it was kind of almost a big turning point in my career. I'd been out the side for 5 or 6 games. Ian Branfoot, the manager at the time, had dropped me. Had it not been for the fact that I slightly mishit the shot at the end, it probably would have been my favourite goal of my whole career, but I was a bit of a perfectionist, and as I struck the ball into the bottom corner, it was kind of off the bottom of my boot a little bit, and it kind of bobbled in, and so I was a bit disappointed by that. Andy Cole equalised, and about 5 minutes from the end of the game, I got another chance to win the match, and Neil Maddison just headed the ball down to me. One touch on my thigh, and I swiveled and volleyed it in the top corner again from 20 yards.
We have seen it and we don't believe it.
It was a special day, and probably the game. I'd never really scored 2 outstanding goals in the same game. We were losing 1-0. There was only maybe a minute or 2 of the game to go. I was about 30 yards out, and I just took a touch, and I thought, well, there's only a minute to go. This is about as good a chance as we're going to get. So struck it with my right foot and managed to curl it in the top corner. Mark Bosnich tried his best to get somewhere near it, but didn't get very close. And we'd sneaked a 1-1 draw, which was a good result for us at Villa Park. Sometimes I would shoot from corners, and I'd kind of just hit the ball in, knowing that it was going to curl towards the goal. If it took any kind of deflection, it was a good chance it was going to go in.
Now, Tissier to deliver another one of those accurate corners. Yes! I think it went straight in!
I was annoyed, actually, because they took that goal off me, because it took a little deflection, but it was on target.
His last goal was also the last goal to be scored at the Dell. Manager Stuart Gray started him on the bench.
he'd guaranteed me that I was going to be on the pitch at the end. But that wasn't good enough for me. From that minute on, all I was thinking about was scoring the last goal at the Dell. It was something that I wanted to do, and I felt it was my destiny. Yeah, very close. It was very emotional. I think after the game, just seeing the look on people's faces and the amount of people that have come up to me since and said, you know, we were at the game, you wouldn't believe how many grown men cried that day hearing it. It was just lovely to hear those stories, and it was an incredibly emotional day.
In total, he played 540 games for Southampton. That final goal was his 210th for them in all competitions. He retains the adoration of their fans and the respect of rivals.
I think it's an entertainment industry, and I think sometimes we lose sight of that a little bit. And I always felt if you know, fans are walking away from the ground saying that was worth the money, seeing that today, even if it was one piece of skill in the game or one goal from out the blue, then that was good enough for me.
If you put a montage of his goals together, they would match anybody's in the world. His best goals are up there with any world talent, and that alone makes him a legend for me.